Facebook?
Yes,
Awesome.
we're live. We're on my Facebook page. So hello and
Cool.
welcome to another episode of the Potent Healer Podcast, a podcast for healers by healers. I'm your host, Dr. Jenna Zellers, and I have a friend, a mentor, and a chiropractic guru here with me, Mr. Jim Chester of CHIRO Hustle. Hello, and thank you for being here.
It's an honor. I look forward to sharing some insight and hopefully give some people some things that they can take away and find some value in.
I love it. I have no doubt that you will, and that's why you're here. So my first question for you, let's jump right in. Jim, what makes you potent?
Well, my degree as a marketer and a journalist, I believe, give me some skill sets that set me apart from the rest of the people that are doing marketing and anything of journalistic endeavor within the chiropractic space. So I think, after working in chiropractic for the past 11 years in some facet, I understand the profession on many different verticals. So I would say that makes me pretty potent.
And from knowing you all these years that I have and following you, I know that you are just honed in on a specific purpose, and that is spreading the truth of chiropractic. So tell us a little bit about that and what you do all day.
Well, it started out as I was in a chiropractic office and I did some soul searching. I was like, well, what should I dedicate my career to? And early on, I was in sports journalism and I was doing arts and entertainment writing. And I realized that was, it just wasn't my, in 2020, it wasn't my jam. So I had to figure out what I could devote my time and energy and interest to. And I decided that chiropractic would be something that I could attach myself to that had a lot of truth in it. And I didn't even know really what chiropractic was, except for the fact that when I got adjusted, I felt better. So as I developed into office staff, just like there's many people out there that have office staff, I was just a regular guy that worked in an office. And I was like, well, why aren't people more educated about this profession? And I thought that we did a really great job of educating people inside of our clinic, but I didn't really see that there was anything that was educating people outside the four walls of the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that people are going to seminars, but that's only for like a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, how can I make a stronger contribution to chiropractic? And that's when we made Chiropractic the documentary. I started studying podcasting and followed a guy named Dr. Ed Osborne. And I started following a group called I Love Marketing by Joe Polish and Dean Jackson. And I started sharpening my acumen around what it would be to tell other people's stories. And I never wanted it to be my story because I wasn't the practitioner that needed to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could be the glue that stuck the story to the public, then that was my vehicle of excellence, and that was my megaphone. And that's really why CHIRO Hustle is doing what it's doing, and why I believe that when we can create evergreen products like this interview, now we have something that when we go back and look at this and say, 3 years even, like the things I'm saying today are going to be a benchmark for what we do going forward. So I just look at the opportunity to share story as something that needs to be done. And if we don't tell our story, someone will make up one about us.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe a lot of those things is what kind of makes me unique in this marketplace. But why I fell in love with chiropractic was I just knew it helped people.
Mm-hmm.
And it went a little bit against the grain of the medical model, and it saves people from drugs and surgery rather than implements them into that system. And I could really stand behind that.
Yeah. Amen. It's I know when I first met you, I thought you were a chiropractor because you were so passionate about spreading this message. So I had to learn more. And I know that there are chiropractors, I know across the country, but across the world, who are just loving your work and what you have helped them do by getting more new patients into their door by the education process that you're doing out there. So thank you so much for all of the work that you do for our profession. It's nice to know that there's someone out there who has dedicated their heart and soul to the education, because I know as chiropractors, we can get really busy just as a practitioners inside of our four walls. So thank you for the work that you're doing. I love it. Can you tell us a little bit more about, like, why was it you? What was it about your story that cultivated those passions and skill sets? Can you go deeper into that? Like, was there a pivotal moment? Was there, I mean, tell us a little bit more.
Well, whenever you want to make a career, obviously chiropractors go out there because they want to take care of people. Fundamentally, I mean, chiropractors fundamentally, before they even knew what give, love, serve meant, they wanted to go into a field of study that could take care of people. And when I realized that that was the group of people that I could like procure and work with, and I could become friends with those people, that meant a lot to me. And my mom, when I was growing up, she'd always tell me, "You're only as good as the company that you keep." And if I showed people my Facebook Messenger or my text messenger, how many doctors I talk to on a day-to-day basis, I'd probably tell people I did all right, because now the company that I keep are some of the highest educated people in the world. And if people didn't know this, chiropractors are part of the 1%. 1% of the world population are doctors. And chiropractors are a group of that doctor group. So now I get a chance to be in network with some of the 1%ers of the world, and that's honorable for me. So I guess that's a little bit deeper.
I love that. And with your podcast, and I want you to tell us a little bit more about that, but you're rubbing elbows with even the greats that are teaching the greats. And so tell us a little bit more about your journey as a podcaster and how we can learn more about Chiro Hustle.
Well, honestly, Jenna, I started out so vision driven. If I could outwork people, then I could take the lead for media. And when I did that, I just set an agenda. I was going to be the number one podcast in the chiropractic world within 2 years. And by doing that, I just outpaced people and did more interviews with people. And I just said, if I'm going to have the ability to deliver on the truth, why should I stop? And Bob Marley said it the best. Why would I take a day off because the bad guys don't?
Right.
So that was kind of how I looked at like personal growth and development, was with Bob Marley quote. Why would I take a day off from interviewing chiropractors because the bad guys don't take a day off from shutting chiropractic down? So we have to like be able to find the channel of information and disseminate that. And really, I think what made us really strong was our repurposing game. We figured out how to get on multiple platforms with a similar message and disseminate information across multiple channels, that we built small audiences on a number of different platforms. And then our audiences look forward to hearing from us consistently. And I didn't look at what the first 10 episodes were going to look at. Like, I looked at what the first 100 episodes were going to look like. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do 365 interviews in 1 year. And we did that. So, I just figured that if it was working, I might as well work it harder. And if people were loving it, I might as well figure out how to create something else that more people can attach themselves to and love and support. And I saw that there's a huge void in chiropractic media. And a lot of people have this grandeur idea that they're going to start something, but it's like here today, gone tomorrow. So I just looked at Hustle as how can I get to 1,000 episodes? And that's kind of the genesis and where we're headed.
Very cool. I love highlighting humans, entrepreneurs, chiropractors that are out there doing some really meaningful work. And so I love that you're doing your most meaningful work. Tell us a little bit about what the future of your meaningful work looks like. I know you've talked about 1,000 episodes. Now, what is it going to take? Who are the people you want to be connected with? Tell us a little bit about the bigger vision of what's next.
Well, when we think about how we're going to disseminate the message of chiropractic long term, my end game is to be the guy that's on late night talk shows. My end game is to have the largest voice in chiropractic over the next decade. My end game is to connect myself with the Grant Cardones of the world, the John D. Martinis of the world, the Russell Brunsons of the world, the Ty Lopez's of the world, the Les Browns of the world. The end game is becoming a viable voice and a megaphone for a beautiful profession. And I think that that's really why the work that I'm doing is received so well, is because it's a passion project. And I think that that's really the why what I'm doing is making an impact, is because people love it when they can see somebody doing work that they're inspired by. And 1,000 episodes, that's when people become multi-millionaires and they create movements that no one can take down. And the more that we stay consistent to our brand and the momentum that we've created, the larger my voice gets, the more well connected I get, the easier it is to get the bigger names out there to say, yes, I'll interview Jim Chester. Hell yeah, that guy's got momentum. That guy has passion. That guy has purpose. And really, I think that that's where our path is being laid, is wherever we want to go.
Well, this conversation is, I know, inspiring myself because I have a vision of my podcast too, but I need to follow in your footsteps. I need to have that 1,000 episode vision, because sometimes, life can get busy and I'll be like, oh, I'm tired today, I don't want to create a podcast. But holding true to that vision and following in your footsteps is inspiring for me. So thank you for, one, the work that you're doing, and thank you for being an inspiration. I know we probably have a lot of listeners who are wanting to do some meaningful work in and of themselves. And do you have any tips for them who are maybe just getting started or want to take their voice or their message or their platform out there and spread their truth?
Well, here's the real truth, is it took me 2 years to decide how I was going to develop and procure and launch a podcast. So one of my good friends back in Chicago, Bob Stopka, he would tell me, you don't have to get it right, but you have to get it going.
Yeah.
And I think that so many of us think that we have to have it right away. We have to learn the tech. We have to learn the click funnel. We have to learn the repurposing strategy. And I think that early on, people should just start doing solo casts. I think people should just get on, have 2 to 3 topics. Maybe they should just read their affirmations. Maybe they should have something that they like to share with an audience, and, just tell them, something inspiring, like share what you read in your book today. Maybe just start doing that. And I think, whenever you start to find your voice, then you start to find something that can give you momentum. And I think so many times people are like, well, look at what Jim Chester's doing. Look at what Dr. Jenna Zellers is doing. Look at what Ed Osborne's doing. Look at what Dean Jackson and Joe Polish are doing. And what they don't realize is they have the power all inside of them. Mm-hmm. They just have to tell themselves yes. And honestly, what they have to do is tell themselves to stop doing all the other shit that they're doing that gets them nowhere. So you have to cut stuff out, and you have to make a start doing list and a stop doing list. And I think that's some really good fundamental advice, is find out what you really want to, build for yourself. And just, we still have the opportunity of doing that. So keep doing that.
Isn't that the truth? I love it. Yeah. I mean, there is no such thing as an overnight success, right? It's all the years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears behind them. So very, very good. I have just a couple more questions. You've shared a little bit about being the biggest voice in chiropractic in 10 years. My question would be, what's your vision for the world? But I want to ask specifically, what's your vision for the world and how chiropractic fits in that? Because I know you will have a really good answer.
Well, I think, based upon my time in the chiropractic space, that chiropractic's always gone against the grain. And the reason chiropractic isn't the number one health source in the world is because it doesn't follow the tenets of drugs and surgery. It refers out to them. If there's a chiropractic case that can't get managed properly through chiropractic adjustments and chiropractic lifestyle, chiropractors do refer out. But the reason I believe that chiropractic doesn't get supported is because there's no money in health. There's only money in sickness. Yeah. So if we don't create dollar bills for the medical monster, we actually save money from that machine, then we need to figure out how to brand and market chiropractic as a standalone profession and take the hits, because the hits are going to keep coming. When you have a truth and nobody else can manipulate it, that's something very special. So I think chiropractors need to stay true to their historical resonance. I think chiropractors need to produce more quality content that supports themselves and do more research. I think that chiropractors need to be wise enough to defer to Gray's Anatomy and the actual research that's been done by the medical model as well, because chiropractors are being lambasted for talking about how chiropractic helps the immune system. But if you go look at Gray's Anatomy will tell you that the spinal cord controls the organ system, controls the nervous system, controls the immune system. It all is very linear. But when a chiropractic starts saying that, they're like, we want to see evidence-based. Well, the evidence-based is in the medical industry. So we need to lean on them for their expertise and say that you guys are right, but we're right with you. And we have to do it ourselves. I think that that's where, if you look at different tracks of health industry, they're basically taking the chiropractic languaging and truth and starting to cultivate that into their own. So the more that we stay true and produce quality content that supports and even can segue to what's being done in other medical industries, that's where we win. Because the truth is out there, but they're saying, well, chiropractic doesn't do the studies. Well, the studies don't have to be chiropractic. They just have to be proven. So I think that that's really where we need to go with the chiropractic conversation going forward, and how we'll win this and how we'll continue to win, and how people will continuously say, wow, I need to go get checked for vertebral subluxation because it's having a detrimental effect on my family and my health. And I think that that's probably the truest message I give to people is you don't want to guess with your health. And I think that a lot of times people trust people to give them information when that person doesn't even know you. A chiropractor actually gets a chance to know you. And that's something really unique about the chiro space, is the practitioners of chiropractic actually get to know their client base. And it's not just come in as fast as you can and leave as fast as you can and pay your copay. It's no, hey, we have a clinic here that if you know somebody that we can help, send them into us and we'll get to know them too. So I think there's still a huge relational bond within the chiropractic profession that makes it super unique and awesome.
It does. It really does. As a chiropractor, I think that's one of my prized possession is the relationship that I've built with all of my patients. I've been a chiropractor for 10 years, and many of my patients have been with me since day one. So it's a beautiful relationship. It's a beautiful experience. And I'm glad that you are helping other chiropractors build and nurture their practices. So thank you again for the work that you do. You speak with pure potency, not only in chiropractic, but helping us as chiropractors. And I think even just the other healers who listen to the show, of giving them some encouragement to say, you know what, I'm going to stand, and I'm going to stand in my truth. I'm going to anchor into a message that is worthy of sharing. And I'm going to have that vision of long-term success to really create that ripple effect. Speaking of ripple effect, as we close down here, what is one tip that you would give to our listeners who are mostly chiropractors, healers, entrepreneurs who are trying to build their healing businesses? What's one tip that if they were to implement this into their lives and businesses, it would have an even greater ripple effect to add more hope, healing, and harmony with the world? What's like that pure, potent tip that you'd love to share with our viewers?
Well, I think a lot of people go to college and become doctors of chiropractic and not marketers. So you have to wear your hat well, and you have to stay in your lane. And I think a lot of times when a practitioner gets out into practice, they have to realize that they have to learn something new. And that takes a long time to learn a new skill set. So I would say find people that are experts in a certain track of influence with marketing, whether that's digital traffic or whether that's going out and doing work in your community and harvesting your new patients from community events. I would say learn systems from others and build your confidence up. And, I think one of the most important things is to hold your weekly doctor's talk at your office and to get used to talking to your community as a group. And I think that there's nothing greater than speaking from to a group status than one to one to many. And I think that if you think about what marketing is, it's just sharing your message. And that's what I think all chiropractors should go back to do is fundamental stuff like having your doctor's talk and learning how to do external marketing properly, learning how to ask for referrals on Monday or Tuesday, learning how to team up with some strategist that knows how to do digital marketing. And I think that those are the paths I would say, because chiropractors, you can't wear too many hats. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. So that's probably the best advice.
Yeah, you'll burn out and you'll be less potent. And so the whole goal of this show is to help you be more potent. And Jim is saying hire those marketers to do your work for you so that you can focus on your message and your craft. Love it.
Or go side by side and learn with them.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with learning new stuff,
mm-hmm.
but you have to find a trusted resource.
Sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for imparting your wisdom and your potency. I know that because of you, the world is a better place. Chiropractic is a better place. And if you guys want to check out the rest of Jim's episodes, go check out CHIRO Hustle on any podcast, YouTube. Where else can we find you, Jim?
You can go to Spotify. You can go to iHeartRadio. You can go to, iTunes. But the number one place for traffic is chirohustle.com. We get about 80,000 listeners a month to our show. So come over, and all that traffic is based on chirohustle.com. And if you guys ever wanted to become a guest on my show, reach out to me through Facebook, through Messenger, or send me a message through our CHIRO Hustle website.
Awesome. Well, we'll be sure to check it out. And I think I was maybe episode 13 or 14 on your show. So if you guys want to hear my story, you can go back and listen to that. So thanks again for being here, and everyone for tuning in. Thanks so much for tuning into the Potent Healer podcast, where we are helping to heal the world one conversation at a time. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you so much.